How you doing, folks? Alex here with Straights on the Fly. I'm with A-Rex Hook Company and Pro Sportfisher as well. And we are tying up some different patterns on the just awesome selection and varied amount of tubes and weights and cones they have. Today I wanted to show you a different take on like a monkey fly or long wing fly, which any kind of bait fish long wing fly will catch fish anywhere where they eat bait fish. So this is a Posh monkey, and I'm going to show you a way to use the Whiting Farm Spey hackles. If you remember those from back in the day, they were just those really long, wispy, thin fibered, thin stem hackles. Super cool, but how do you use them? How do you get any structure out of these? This was their heron replacement, and it has the length of heron, but it was not the same material as heron. So I'm going to show you a cool trick I learned from a good friend of mine, Dave Nelson, Squimpish flies, and I saw him tie with these one time and a light bulb went off. One caveat to this is, though Whiting Farm does not place this as available anymore, some shops will get these capes in once every few months. So if you're lucky, if you find that shop, you can do it. I prefer the white because they're so rare, and then I just dye them up different colors. Talk to you about the color scheme in a moment. So here we have the Flexitube again, and I'm going to cut a little bit off the back. We'll see how long the fly is at the end to determine how much more to cut, if any at all. So I'm just going to adjust this here on the Flexi needle. Okay, and I'm gonna start tying right here. This is actually a fairly low material fly that I like, and fairly quick, as you know, monkey flies or sunrays usually are, kind of in that family. So I just get a little thread on there. Now, the trick with these Whiting Farm Spey hackles. So what I'm going to do, I'm kind of a mixer and a blender. So I like to use 3 to 4, no more than 4, no less than 3. So what I have is 2 aquamarine over white, 1 aquamarine over grizzly, and then of course just that natural white gray grizzly. And so what I do is tie in any kind of chenille that you like. I really like this Hackle from the Snake River Fly Shop. It's called Hydro Hackle. I like the length of it. It's just a really nice, easy to tie in. And they have some of the coolest colors. So this obviously is just a silvery light blue. Okay, and we're gonna tie this in like so. And trim that off. Then what we're going to do is each of these, and go ahead and trim off, or just kind of pull off the bottom now, because you don't want to tie it in, pull it, and snap it. So I trim off the waist that I'm not going to use, and I find the tip of this right here, and I'm simply going to tie that in right next to that, or right on top of it together. And I work up a little bit, and I come back. And we'll trim that away. Then I'll take a grizzly one, or you can put them in anyway. I try to stagger them, but I'm not sure if it matters at the end of the day. So here's my grizzly aqua. I'll tie that in, and just kind of wet your fingers. Get those long fibers out of the way. And I'll tie that in like so. Come back up. Tie in the natural grizzly one. And it's okay, some of these are shorter, some are longer. It's fine, I prefer just a variation in the length on them anyway. Just be careful because these stems are very, very thin. They're very, very fine. And it's easy to break them. I'm going to tie that one in. And like I said, I like to do at least 3 no more than 4. This is a creative way of doing this. If you have other long fibered hackles, if you split your rhea stems, you could use that. And here, if you have some thin stemmed hair end, and there's a lot of options with this. I tend to just use these Whiting Farm Spey hackles because this is one of the few ways I found that I actually can use them. Okay, so we trim that away. Now we got to get an idea on the maximum length that we have. So I take all of these carefully, and you can only go as far as the shortest one that you have is. So what I'm going to do is hold them up and see what my working length is, which is going to be right about there. And I'm going to go ahead and trim away so I'm not fighting with that. And then I put this hydro hackle up like so, and I trim this away. So I know this looks kind of interesting, but if you follow me, so now I'm going to just spin it. What essentially I'm going to do, and this just takes a minute, you got to spin it really tight. I'm going to make this Spey hackle into almost kind of like a brush or a rope, as it were. So it's going to twist together with that hydro hackle and give us something a little bit more stout. But the hackles are just beautiful in the water and move and dance very, very well. We're going to have a wing in it, so even in fast water, if these fibers pencil out, you still have a wing, but in slow water, you can get a lot of movement here too. So I do that, and you just got to be kind of careful here, and I pick this out because obviously they're going to get twisted and tied up on each other. And you probably end up twisting it, it's up to yourself, you know, I mean, somewhere between 15, 20 times, something like that. What you're really looking for is it getting tight all the way up. And you're going to have some fibers that are just get caught up in there, that's no big deal. We have 4 of them. Once again, I'm going to try to pull all these back. We're going to do a couple more twists with it just to get it, when I see it, very tight all the way up. Like that. And what's interesting is even though these stems are very thin, they don't break when you do it like this. Once they're combined all together with that rope, they actually become much stronger, which I thought was interesting. But the first time I saw Dave Nelson tie this way, I thought it was so cool. You can build a whole intruder just like this if you want. Just the options are endless. So we're going to move our thread up. Probably won't go that far, but just get it out of the way. And we just kind of do touching turns as best as we can. You can use hackle pliers here to hold it if you want to. That way it doesn't come undone. Not sure where I set mine, so I'm just going to do it the hard way here. And really, all you need is, 3 to 4 good turns. You're not, you don't need a whole bunch. And on a tube, you're going to get less turns than you would on a hook or a shank anyway. Once I feel pretty good, we're coming up to the end of where those hackles are. Maybe we'll do one more turn and then lock that. Actually, I'm going to come back a little bit because it'll be cleaner right there. So there we are. Just take a minute, lock that all down. Perfect. Kind of clean that up, but don't go too far because we'll finish fairly soon. So now we get this really nice body of Spey hackle and that chenille, and at least it has a little bit of volume like that now where it wants to sit up. That's one of the only ways I know how to actually get that Whiting Farm Spey hackle to sit like that, but there really isn't a finer hackle that you can get, so it makes a very gorgeous body on a lot of different flies as well. So now we're going to build just a very simple wing, and I'm going to go white and black. You can use all different color combinations, and depending on how much volume you want, you can reverse tie the first hackle or just lay it in there as well. It's totally up to yourself. And what you do is always I pinch somewhere near the bottom and then pull the underfur. If you pinch up here and pull, you'll take all the underfur out and just be left with guard hairs. And then you pull up a little bit on the center and just clean up a touch. And what you're doing, you're kind of manipulating the hair to kind of give you the shape you're after before you even tie it in. And that's the secret to a really nice looking wing. So I am going to do this one in reverse. I'll go like that. I kind of like to trim this away. Be careful you don't come through the material. What I do is just press just a little on my scissors. I don't cut all the way through. And you can leave a little bunch right there. It's fine. Then we'll take that and we'll fold that back like so. And this one with the flash I'll make close to the same length as the hackle themselves. And the next one will really add some length onto it. And so we'll go with this wing, and what I'll do here is add a nice light blue winging flash like so. We'll lay it on a little bit longer than the wing. I like to spread it now. Perfect. And then you can leave this to kind of extend off of that wing and really start creating that taper that we want with the wing. Just carefully. And we're starting to see it take shape like so. Very nice looking kind of sunray monkey variation. And then what I'll do is tie a nice Spey hackle. We'll use the dark turquoise ringneck pheasant. And pick a medium to long one here. So we're getting those blues, grays, and then a black top. So a dark herring or dark salmon, as it were. But the color combinations are really quite endless with this. And I have the pink tube, so kind of like the silver Wilkinson. And the one thing you do have to be careful about with that rope though, when you make the hackle, when you make that kind of rope with the hackles and that chenille, is how when you go to cut it off and clean it up, it can get a little bit bulky. So something to be mindful of there, because it can take a lot of feathers then to cover all that up. And now we'll use a nice long black hair here, kind of like we would with a sunray or monkey fly. And I like to keep this just at 2 wings. I mean, you can do as many wings as you want. But I like this looking more sunray-ish than other ones. So same idea. We're gonna pull a little bit up on the center, remove a couple guard hairs from it until it looks nice. And if you have good quality hair, it's very easy to get the shape that you're after. And this one I just tie in regular on top, like so. I like to do that one nice and long, kind of like that eel shape you get. All right, wonderful. And so now we have that dark herring. I'm gonna add a few pieces of peacock as well. And let me show you how I like to do that. But first we can kind of brush this a little. See how it blends and mixes together. The shape of our wing as well. And that's good, that'll work. Maybe just a touch of glue. Make sure everything's secure. Okay. Now for the peacock, I'm gonna do, I usually keep it at about 3 strands. I don't buy very expensive peacock, just the normal, the way it comes. And I'll show you a technique for getting it to taper correctly. So I'm just looking for a few good strands. I might pull a couple extra. Now, if you look at peacock, there's a side where the stem runs a little bit closer to the bottom. The main stem is running close to the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. There's more thin fibers on the top side of this, and there's a definite thick stem right there on the bottom. So when you tie it in, you want that bottom on the bottom. And what I'll do sometimes is come in at an angle like this and cut, if I can get it, just a ever so slight taper to it. Let me see, I gotta find the bottom again too. And so what I'll do is tie about 3 of these right dead center. And so I'll tie that on it. And one thing about peacock is you get this nice tapered wing, and oftentimes the peacock just kind of lays flat and starts to ruin your taper there. So what I do is take another flexi needle. And if you get a piece, sometimes you'll just get a bad piece of peacock. If it won't form, just take it off. But what I do is just kind of create that lift that I'm after, and a little bit in the back. We'll see if we can't make that happen. So we get this, so we got that part really nice, and this will just kind of work. But you can see how you don't lose the taper anymore. It comes up with the wing. And tie the next 2 almost dead center with that peacock, but we're gonna stagger the lengths of them as well. And that'll give it a really nice look too. See, this one's pretty thin, but we'll try it. So I'll make this one shorter. Just a couple turns, and then again, we'll come up like that. I'll keep doing that with those. And you can kind of come down here and get it to kick back up like that. So that one turned out really good. This other one, not as perfect, but we're not losing a taper at all. So we're gonna add a couple more. And every once in a while, just kind of do that. And I'm basically shaping the peacock to go into the shape of the wing that I like. Then find one more, just looking for a straight piece that's not super thin or broken or really curly or wiry. I'll cut that at an angle, and we'll make this one even shorter. And so we're not just tying a clump of peacock on the middle, which, you know, can look really bad on your fly, kind of take away from all the taper and work you've done. I think 3's pretty much about right for any hair wing. You don't usually need more than that, but then you cut at those different lengths as well, and it kind of starts to blend in with the wing a little bit different, and just instead of it being a hassle for you or something that ruins your fly, it can be something that's quite pretty and adds to your fly. So all you have to do is practice, take a needle and shape it on there. Now once we go out fishing, it'll eventually do what it wants to do, but at least you can get a nice picture with it and have it blend into the whole fly as well. So there we are. We'll take that. We'll add one more long pheasant rump hackle, like so. And I purposely leave these tubes a little bit longer. Depends on the species you're fishing for. For steelhead and salmon, they tend to nip more from the back end. And so if our hook's way up here and the hair's there, we tend not to get a positive hookup. Where the Atlantic salmon fishermen tend to do it the other way, keeping the hook in the middle of the fly, from what I've seen, or even, you know, up towards the top of the fly. So I leave it a little bit long, and then I can decide what I want to do with it, depending on where I'm fishing. And I can always add some length by just free swinging with one of the hook guides from Pro as well. Lots of options. Try to get this nice and clean here. Okay, and these nice long wing flies like that, I like the look of a decent sized cone on the front to add enough weight to keep it riding straight in the water where the hook doesn't pull it back at all. Just a good excuse to use one of these nice cones as well. I like a large one. Wonderful. Just throw a little touch of glue here. Like I said, usually when I'm tying on tubes and I'm gonna put a cone or disc, I don't find any need to whip finish, because I'm gonna add glue one more time. So I just essentially cut it off. We'll see how it's going to fit first. And should be vibrant, nice orange. But you could do clear tubing and a silver cone. Totally up to you. And I grab my comb pusher here. And I just push it for a moment on there. We'll take it off like so. And if you get it to melt on you, if the hole closes up, sometimes I'll just heat the tip of the needle like that and very carefully push it back on. Yeah, there's a kind of a Spey hackle monkey, or Posh monkey, as it were. Thank you for watching.